you might be watching this right now and you may be going through it. And if you're that person, maybe you struggle with insecurity, you don't feel so confident, maybe life is just kicking you in the balls right now. It's kicking you in the ovaries and you just are questioning everything. You're questioning your existence. You're questioning why you're living the life that you live, why you even go to work, why you do the things you do. Like, if you're in that space and you are feeling like life is confusing, things are a bit fuzzy, then you want to watch this video. This video is really going to help you. I've been doing a different approach with these videos, and thank you for the guys, you people who've commented and said, Arica, we feel like we have our old Arica back. You're finally using your voice. We finally feel that fire, that passion from you. Thank you for those comments. They fuel my heart. They inspire me to want to get in front of the camera and do this again and again and again for you all. So thank you for that. And yeah, I've been trying to just check in with my heart and asking God, like, what do people need to hear? Because it's not enough to look at the algorithm and go, what's SEOing right now? What's a popular topic? No. God knows what's going on in your life better than I do. And I am here to serve you. I like to say that I am the queen that is meant to serve. And so I want to make sure that these videos are speaking to exactly what you need to hear. And so if you're that person and you're like, I need to be encouraged, or I need a shift of perspective, like I'm questioning myself, this video is for you. And before I get into this, make sure that you subscribe, like the video. It helps get my work out there so much when you do this. Thank you for that. Leaving comments, all these things help me. And if you're that person, you're watching this and you're like, Arica, I love your videos, but man, I am ready to take things to the next level in my life. And I know you are the coach, you're the guide to help me. There are 3 different ways that I can support you in this. 1, a free level, you can do my course, Become the Damn Hero. Start there. It's really powerful. Even though it's a video course, it's changing people's lives. Start with that. Or you can join my Spiritual Alpha members community. That's $24 a month, where we do a live call with live questions and answers at the end every month. People are really loving this group. You can do that for $24. Or I have my higher end stuff, which is private coaching with me, or my ultimate Spiritual Alpha mentorship that I'll be sharing more about. It's a year journey with me and other people who are ready to become the leaders of their home, their romance, their careers, essentially becoming the spiritual alphas, the leaders of their lives. If that's you and you're like, yeah, I don't want to do that alone. I want to become leaders, or I want to evolve as a leader that I am with other people, and with you working with me every week, Arica. Oh my God, seriously? I get to work with you every week? Yeah, baby, every week. That is the Spiritual Alpha mentorship. So those 3 links will be in the comment section below. I want to tell you something that I have told you in a lot of my videos, and this is a message I will never stop saying to you, and I need you to understand this, darling. You matter. Hear me when I say this. Hear my heart when I speak into your heart, when I speak into your DNA, when I speak into your identity, and I want you to hear these words and the power and the magnitude that these words hold. You matter. Your life matters. Your existence on this planet matters. Every life that you touch, you create an impact. You create a ripple effect. Now, you might be asking, Arica, why is it important for me to know that I matter? Why is this so important? And I want to tell you this illustration because the reality is this: if we don't believe that we matter, if we don't believe that we are loved, then we have no reason to fight for being here on this planet, for showing up in this world as the real, authentic, powerful versions of ourselves. But one thing that I have always said is that when a person understands how loved they are, that person becomes unstoppable. You see, when you come to my channel, when you come to my work, the heartbeat of my message, the undertone of my message is that you are loved, that you matter, because I know that you have a vision for your life. I know that there's a calling on your life. I know that there's a purpose on your life. I know that when you show up at work, when you show up at home, when you show up in your community, that your mere presence changes the atmosphere, that your mere presence touches people's lives, that people are encouraged, that people have hope, that people keep going another day because you show up, because you walk through the door. You need to understand that your life is not insignificant, but most importantly, above all else, is that you are loved. Because when you understand how loved you are, nothing can get in your way, nothing can stop you, nothing can hold you back. The fact that your identity is coming from the source of love, that you are loved, that is what is in your frequency. Yeah, life has kicked the shit out of you. It's kicked you in the nuts. It's kicked you in your ovaries. It's hurt you. It's pulled you back. It's disappointed you. But those things do not define who you are, because who you are is the essence of love, and you matter. And you need to understand that. You need to hear those words today, because they will change your life. They will change the direction in which you go in your life. They will change how you will show up in this world, how you will show up in this life. When you understand that your life holds significance, that your life matters, and that above and beyond anything else, that you are loved, this changes the entire paradigm. This changes the game. You see, our identity is that we are loved. The problem is we've just been so separated from that. We've been separated by society telling us that everything else defines you. Your career defines you. What you have defines you. Who you're with defines you. All this bullshit that we get indoctrinated in with to make us weak so that we can be sold to, and we lose sight, we lose sense of who we actually are, what we are made of. If you believe that you are made in the image of God, God is love. If you're made in that image, you are love. When we're walking in our truest self, when we're separated from living from the ego, from living out of pain, from living out of fear, and we stand in our true power, that is love. For years, people have been commenting on my YouTubes going, how can you say that you love me, Arica? You don't even know me. You've never even seen me. Because I know that I am in the image of God and that I am loved. And I know that when you wake up and you remove the dust from your eyes, that you understand that you are loved, and we are connected in that love relationship. That's how I can show up on my videos and tell you that you are loved and that you matter. But let me tell you, when you are going through life storms, when you are coming up against opposition, when things in your life are falling apart, when the things that you've built, the things that you have cherished, the things that you have cleaved to with intensity, when those things begin to fall apart, when those things begin to shatter, the first thing that we question is our identity. The first thing that we question is, who am I? Do I even matter? Does anyone even care? Am I even worthy? These are the things that go through our mind. I want to tell you a quick story. In the Bible, when Jesus is in the wilderness and he's been fasting, he's been praying, and I don't know if you've ever gone on a fast. Sometimes I like to do fasts in the morning. What's it called? Intermittent fasting. I like to do this. And when you're going through a fast, you understand that your body can feel very weak. It can feel very depleted. And so while Jesus is in the wilderness, Satan, the devil, your enemy, whatever, shows up in the wilderness and he meets Jesus. And 3 times he questions Jesus. And this is what happens in your life. When you're in the wilderness, when you feel beat up, when you feel weak, when you feel depleted, that is when your identity becomes in question. And I'm already jumping ahead, but essentially the devil says, if you are the Son of God, then if you just jump off this mountain, then all these angels will come and catch you. And he goes on, and essentially what he is saying is, if you are who you say you are, then go and do this. He's questioning his identity. And I promise you that this will be one of the biggest challenges in your life if you are not rooted in love, if you don't understand your identity, if you don't understand the true spiritual alpha that you actually are, that's buried underneath all of the rubble of life's disasters and curveballs that it's thrown on you, that underneath it all, that you are the spiritual alpha. See, if you don't understand that, you will constantly question your identity. You will constantly question if you matter. You will constantly question if you are indeed loved. And so I shared a video with you guys about, I think it was like one of the most difficult seasons of my life. And I just share with you like how for years, I think it was like 2 years, I was just getting the shit kicked out of me. Like everything in my life that could blow up was blowing up. And I felt like in that season that every stone in my heart, every pain in my heart, that it was a season where God was coming and just turning every stone over and going, let's look at this, let's look at that, let's look at that. And it felt so painful. And you might be going through something like that where things in your life that you've ignored or things that you've been pursuing are all just blowing up in your face. Can I offer you a different perspective? That though it may not feel like it, that life is actually working for you in these moments, if you will allow it. If you will have perspective, if you will have eyesight for this, that it's actually removing these things from your life so that it can rebuild your identity to know that you are loved, so that you know that you are the spiritual alpha, so that you know that you matter, so that you know that you have an identity and a purpose, and that you are here to leave a mark on this world, that you are here to be loved beyond a shadow of a doubt. But sometimes life has to come and shake us up and disrupt those things. All these pillars that we've built in our life, that we've built on top of sand, that sometimes life has to shake those up, that we have to wake up to the fact that these things need to be dealt with. And so for me, it was a season of one chapter after the next in my heart where things were either scary in my life, where I felt threatened in my life, where I didn't understand where God was in my life, where things blew up in my life, where things really hurt me in my life. It was like God was coming after every single one of those chapters of my life and was saying, I want to bring love into those areas, Arica. I want to bring healing. I want to bring truth into what was going on. You see, you couldn't see what was going on in those seasons and those chapters because you were blinded by trauma, because you were blinded by pain, because you were blinded by pride, because you were blinded by hurt. But I have come and I want to redeem those areas in your life. But first, we need to go through the corridors of your heart. We need to go through those chapters and bring healing and breathe life and shine light and bring truth to those areas. I'll never forget when I moved to Los Angeles and I told you guys a story about how I sold my house. My ex and I are home, and I was hoping that that money would fund me to get to LA. Well, I ended up moving to LA before the funding came through. And I remember just going through my time in Los Angeles. And then on top of that, I got into an industry, the mortgage industry. It was falling apart. And it was like everything that I was doing, nothing was working. On top of being in a huge city, that was a very lonely city that exposed me to things I had never been exposed to before. I grew up in Texas. My parents were ministers. From there, I went to Columbus, Ohio, and got exposed to little stuff. LA was a whole nother beast. And so there was so much terror in my heart that I didn't know how to make it. I didn't know how to survive. I didn't know how to deal with the people in this new landscape. Everything was so foreign. And when you have people, because you're a beautiful girl, coming at you saying they want to help you, they don't want to help you, they just want to fuck you. Like all of these things, I wasn't used to this. I wasn't exposed to these kind of things. And people being so tough and being so fake and putting on these pretenses. Like there were so many elements going on that I was not unaware of. And what I felt in my heart, though no one saw it on the outside, was I was in a constant state of terror. I felt constantly like, what's going to happen next? And I don't know if you've ever been in one of those seasons, but let me tell you, when those seasons don't get healed and when you don't address them, they leave a lasting mark. And so when I went through these past 2 years, this was just one of the many things that God was like, can I have that part of your heart? That part of your heart that was terrorized, that you never healed, that you never faced, you just moved on. You see, that's what we start doing in our lives. We just move on and we move on and we move on and we don't allow ourselves to heal. But what happens is when we don't allow ourselves to heal, we start building an identity of who we think we are, birthed out of that experience. So out of that experience, I learned I have to be really strong. I have to be very tenacious. I have to take a lot of risks. I just have to keep moving forward. And you might be watching this and going, hell yeah, that's what you do. You do that. And there's a time and there's a season, but you cannot operate at that level. You can't operate from that state of masculinity all the time. We're masculine, we're feminine. At some point, you have to soothe that pain. You have to heal that pain and go, I know that was terrifying. I know that was scary. You did the best you could, but come here and let me heal. Let me redeem those areas of terror in your heart so that you don't have to live with pockets of terror inside of you for the rest of your life, building on top of that. It's like building a building on top of gravel, sand, things, moving components. You see, terror is not something that you build your life out of. You can grow from it. You can do all sorts of things, but you have to address that. And you might be saying, Arica, why does any of this matter? Because you need to understand that your heart is significant. And even those places that have been hurt, that have been damaged, that have been terrorized, that have been disappointed, that those areas matter. You see, we build our identity out of our heart. Our heart defines who we are. Our heart will guide us into truth. Our heart will be our compass. The Bible says, above all else, guard your heart, for out of it flows the wellspring of life. May I propose to you that if you're not living life to the fullest, that there are areas in your heart that need to be redeemed, that haven't been touched, that you've just been building on top of, and you've never realized that you're building on a broken foundation, that there's terror in your foundation, that there's disappointment in your foundation, that there's hurt in your foundation. And so you're building life out of that. May I propose to you that when you heal those things, that you will begin to rebuild the story that you indeed matter, that you are loved, because you will see that you are worthy to have those places loved on, healed on, restored, and redeemed, because you matter, my darling. Let me tell you, all of the disasters and the circumstances that are going on in your life, no matter what's going on, you need to understand that you are loved. And that if you will go through your heart, if you will understand that maybe you need a perspective change, that life is actually working for you, that the things that it's crumbling down is because it wants to rebuild something better for you. And that the course that you're on right now, the way that you're building right now, that you're never going to get to that better, that what you are creating out of right now, that you will continue to create the same thing over and over and over again, that you'll continue to replay the story of pain and disappointment over and over again, just with different characters, just with different faces, just with a different home, different car, different job. But the same story will continue to be replayed out because you have to rebuild your foundation. My darling, if this is you and this really speaks to you and you're like, I need to do this, Arica, and I need to do this right now, sign up for one of my heart healing sessions. That's an introductory way to do coaching with me. People are having their minds blown through this because they're seeing things from a perspective that they had not seen before. And that's all I'm here to do. I'm here to guide you back into your heart that has all of the answers, but maybe shift the perspective, maybe to turn your head and to see aspects of your heart that you haven't been looking at, that you've been blinded to, and to open up your eyes to see those places so that you can live that fulfilling life. My darling, when the wind and the waves and the trees and the earthquakes and everything, all the turmoil, the hurricanes, the tornadoes of life are beating you against the wall, you need to understand more than anything that you matter. And on a practical level, what that looks like is reaching out to people and having them encourage you. Being vulnerable enough to allow people into those places. Quit doing it as the Lone Ranger. You're going to kill yourself doing that. No. Allow people into those places of your heart. Let them breathe life into you by encouraging you, by loving on you, by hearing your story and holding a space of compassion for you. But damn it, let people support you in this journey. Don't go at this alone. You see, when I went through my 2-year thing, thank God I had a dear girlfriend who I will be bringing on my YouTube channel. And I started understanding that I was going through a death. I just knew it because I know myself. I'm tapped into God. I'm tapped into what's going on in my world for the most part. And I knew I was going into a death. And shortly after, she started realizing she was going through the same thing. And we had that sisterhood. We had that bond to get on WhatsApp, to send each other messages and go, oh my God, the floor just flew out underneath me all over again. Help me, pray for me, hold space for me, talk to me, let me cry to you. We had each other's back. And had I not had her, I would not have gotten through that season. No chance in hell, because most people, excuse me, I gotta rub my nose. Most people, when I told my other friends what were going on, nobody understood, because they weren't going through that same thing as her and I were going through. So her and I had that simpatico relationship where we could reach out to one another. And I share that with you to say, when you're in a place where you're questioning your identity, when you're questioning if you matter, if life's curveballs, if your life is up in flames right now, you need people now more than ever. This is not the time to do it alone. Listen to what I'm saying, because this will save your life. This is not a time to do it alone. Reach out to other people. And if you're like, Arica, I don't have other people, for $24, you can join that Spiritual Alpha members group. And you're like, no, I need more than that. I need to work with you every week. Join that Spiritual Alpha mentorship. What I'm saying is if you don't have community, I have a community for you. But you need people in this season. You gotta have people. But most importantly, if there's anything that you hear from this message, my darling, I want you to know that you matter. That you matter. Even if hearing the words "you're loved" is too much and you can't fathom that, you can't connect to that, you can't feel that, you can't resonate with that, then hear these simple words, these 2 words: you matter. Even if your life is up in flames right now, you need to know that you matter. Continue to make the next step. When I was going through that dark season, it's all I could do. I couldn't look 10 steps ahead. I was like, today, Arica, you just take the next step. It wasn't even taking it day by day. It was one step at a time. It was allowing the people in my life, even if they didn't understand what I was going through, allowing them to be there for me, allowing them to hold space for me. That's why it's so important to create vulnerability with people now, because you don't know when you're going to need them in your future. I'll finish this off by sharing this one last story, and you may have heard this. It's a very common story. It's a story about the footprints along the sand. And some of you may know this. And if you do know it, tell me in the comment section, how does this story play out? But for those of you who don't know it, there was a person and they were talking to God, and they were walking, and they saw themselves walking along the sand, and they saw 2 sets of footprints throughout their lives of them and God, them and Jesus, walking through the sand. And then there was that one point in their life, and this may be where you are today, my darling, where they look and they said, but God, you're showing me the story of my life. You're showing me the footprints in the sand. And there were 2 sets of footprints. But why? Why in the darkest chapter of my life, when it was the most hard, when it was the most hurtful, when I didn't feel like I could go on any longer? Why? Why were there only 1 set of footprints in the sand? Why was I all alone? And you might be feeling that right now in this moment, that you are all alone. And Jesus said to him, no, darling, what you don't understand was in those times in your life where you only saw the 1 pair of footprints, it was because I was carrying you. and you don't know why you hit play on this video, but may I encourage you that in this moment where you may not feel like you can go on anymore, that my words, that the love that comes on my words, that the presence of God, the love of God that flows through me, that in this moment, that it may carry you. May I leave you with that. You matter. You're loved. Go to my website. There's ample ways for my work to support you. But darling, you matter in this world. Don't ever give up. Maybe it's just one step at a time, but keep going. Now, here are some other videos to support you. If you need more encouragement, keep watching them. Let them breathe life into the next chapter of your life. I love you, and I'll see you in my next video. You take care.